And now a highlight from Animal Radio on iHeartRadio.
We're going to visit with Mira Horowitz. And she is I believe she's the founder of Lucky Dog Animal Rescue in Arlington, Virginia. We have her on Skype. Hi, how are you doing, Mira?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. So are you the founder of this great organization?
I am.
And that's not your full-time job, though. You're also an attorney, is that correct?
Yeah, I have left the formal practice of law, and I'm an executive recruiter for universities. So I help find leaders for public and private universities across the country.
Very cool, cool. So you helped charter a plane from Puerto Rico, which is, I got to tell you, it's been, 4 months now? Since
3.5. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And very little has been done by our government to help out the folks there. And there were actually, I don't even know if they have electricity on yet.
More than 60% of the island does not have electricity or water.
Think about that.
Jeez.
Tonight when you turn on the dishwasher to do your dishes and then take a shower, think about the folks from our country in Puerto Rico that have no electricity and no water. And then think about the animals there, too. There were and still are a lot of animals. Wow.
Sorry, that was my phone.
Good ringtone.
Yeah. There always have been a lot of animals down in Puerto Rico that are sort of homeless and feral in nature. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. So it is a terrible problem that existed well before the hurricane. And now that in the aftermath of the hurricane, it's just been compounded. People have left the island for many different reasons. And for a long time, for the first 2 months, the airlines were not allowed to put pets in cargo. That was an FAA regulation. So people just had to leave their pets, and sometimes they left them with friends, and the friends stopped wanting to care for them, or sometimes they just tied them to a chain link fence. I mean, we have dogs that came up on this flight that you referenced that Southwest Airlines donated to us, where these dogs were just left tied to a chain link fence in a busy intersection.
Tell me about this flight. Southwest Airlines donated a flight?
Yes. So about 3 days before Hurricane Maria hit, I sent a cold email to the CEO of Southwest Airlines after being inventive on my Google searches and finding his email address. And I had seen that they had done a similar flight for Harvey, and I asked if they had thought about doing one for Puerto Rico, and at the time was thinking more in terms of pre-hurricane evacuation. Of course, there just wasn't time to pull that off. We couldn't have gotten the health certificates ready. We couldn't have gotten the plane ready. And by the time we were in conversation, most planes were leaving the island for their own evacuation. So Southwest got back in touch with me within 12 hours. I sent the email in the evening and woke up to an answer. And even though they couldn't evacuate ahead of time, they committed to helping us bring a plane full of dogs off the island. And it took a really long time. No one anticipated when Maria hit that it would take so long to get reliable electricity, normalize operations at the airport, and even they're far from normal at the airport, but at least the airport is functioning.
So this was a 737 is a pretty big plane. Was it full of animals?
It was, yes.
Set the scene, if you will.
So almost every row had a crate in it, seat belted in. And obviously the crates were of different sizes depending on the passengers. And then the last 3 rows of the plane, we had the cats. And the cats were in carriers and were under the seats. And we tried not to put a dog in a crate above where the cats were under the seats so that, the cats were stressed out as it was. And we didn't want to compound things by putting them too close to the dogs that might be barking during the flight. So that was the entire plane. And then there were 10 volunteers from Lucky Dog, and there were about 10 volunteers from Southwest.
So the pilots and the flight attendants all volunteered their time, right?
They all volunteered their time,
wow.
Yes.
That is truly incredible. So now where are the animals now?
So a lot of the animals are already in their forever homes, which is fabulous. I think well over half have been adopted at this point, and the rest of them are in foster care.
How many animals are we talking about?
There were 62 on the plane.
That's a noisy flight.
It was, the takeoff was a little noisy from the cat portion of the plane. And the landing was a little noisy from some of the dogs whose I think their ears were equalizing on the way down. But for the most part, the vibration of the plane, some of them were out cold. I mean, one of the dogs, we actually opened the door to the crate just to make sure that, he was still breathing, but he was just so happy and asleep and didn't even want to wake up for us to check on him.
So what kind of a dent did it make on the animals that were left behind?
Yeah. I think every animal that gets off the island is important, obviously, but there's a huge need still. And we still have enough animals for a flight. We're trying to raise the money for one more flight coming up in the next 2 months. We have about probably between $15,000 and $30,000 to raise to finish that, to pull that flight off.
Okay, so give out the website, if you will.
Yeah, it's www.luckydoganimalrescue.org.
And we'll put links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.pet. We salute you, Mira. And we also salute Southwest Airlines. Wow. What a generous... that was pretty incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah, they say that they're the airline with heart, and I got to say, they've got a lot of that.
You got to believe that. Yep.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Mira.
Thank you so much.
Take care. I think she was doing dishes at the
I don't
same
know
time.
what all that noise was.
It was probably Tater and Maggie. I was doing my best to keep these guys quiet. I've gone through their whole treat bag already in the first, how many minutes of the show.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.